What if one set of photos just confirmed something that a controversial rapper tried to tell the world years ago, and nobody listened? Because right now, the internet is absolutely losing its mind over newly surfaced images of Sir Carter, one of Beyoncé and Jay-Z's twins. And the conversation these photos have sparked is not small. People are going back and digging up old Kanye West interviews, old tweets, old rants, and they are finding threads that honestly are harder to dismiss than most people expected. So today, we are going to break down everything. The photos, the timeline, what Kanye actually said, what the medical community has weighed in on, and why this story matters beyond just celebrity gossip. Stay with me until the end, because the connection I am going to show you in the last section is the part that is genuinely going to make you stop and think. Let us get into it. Most people know Blue Ivy Carter. She has been to award shows, performed publicly, won a Grammy, and has been visible in the cultural space for years. But Sir Carter, her twin brother born on June 13, 2017, is a completely different story. For a family that lives largely in the public eye, the near-total absence of Sir Carter from public appearances, red carpets, and even casual social media content has always stood out. Fans and media commentators have pointed this out repeatedly over the years. You might see one photo a year, maybe less, and even those photos are often partial, distant, or carefully framed. Now that alone does not prove anything. Plenty of celebrity parents choose to protect their children's privacy. But when you layer new visual evidence on top of years of deliberate obscurity, people start asking questions that are harder to wave away. So let us talk about the photos themselves, because this is the center of everything. The images that have been circulating online in recent weeks show a young boy believed to be Sir Carter. And what observers are pointing to is a series of physical characteristics that some people, including those in online medical communities, believe are consistent with certain rare genetic or developmental conditions. Now here is where things get interesting. The features being discussed are not random internet speculation. Several people identifying themselves as medical professionals, nurses, physicians, and pediatric specialists have commented on these images pointing to specific markers including facial structure, body proportions, and motor presentation visible in brief video clips that have also surfaced alongside the photos. None of this is a formal diagnosis, that has to be said clearly. A photo does not diagnose anyone, but the patterns people are identifying are specific enough that the conversation has moved beyond typical celebrity gossip into something that feels more substantive. Let us take a step back and actually explain what conditions are being discussed, because this is where most people get lost in vague language and sensational headlines. The primary condition being speculated about in connection with these photos falls within a category of rare chromosomal or genetic developmental conditions that affect physical development, cognitive milestones, and certain physical features that can be visible externally. One condition frequently mentioned is a rare mosaic variant of a known chromosomal difference, the kind that can present with subtle external features while also affecting internal development timelines. What makes mosaic variants particularly relevant here is that they can be less immediately obvious than full expressions of the same condition, which would explain why this conversation is only gaining traction now as Sir Carter gets older and more photos become available. Again, this is population-level pattern recognition from outside observers. It is not a diagnosis, but it is also not nothing. Now this next part might surprise you, because most people remember Kanye's public statements about the Carters as either erratic, emotionally charged, or simply part of the broader chaos of his public breakdown periods. And a lot of what he said was dismissed on those grounds. But go back and actually listen to specific statements he made between 2022 and 2024. In multiple interviews and public appearances, Kanye made references to hidden truths about the Carter family, including specific language around health, appearance, and what he described as things being kept from the public. He was rarely specific enough to point directly at Sir Carter's health, but the direction of what he was implying tracked closely with what is now being discussed. One statement in particular, made during a podcast appearance that circulated widely at the time, included language that was vague enough to be dismissed then, but reads very differently now when placed alongside these new photos. Kanye has a documented pattern of being directionally accurate even when his delivery is chaotic, and that pattern is exactly what has people revisiting his words right now. Here is something important that most YouTube breakdowns skip over, and it actually explains a lot of the behavior we have seen from the Carter family's camp regarding Sir Carter's visibility. When a child of celebrity parents has any kind of medical condition, especially one that is rare, visible, or likely to attract media commentary, the calculus around privacy becomes completely different. This is not about hiding something shameful. For many families, it is about protection. Children with certain developmental or physical conditions are already vulnerable to stigma. When those children are also the offspring of two of the most scrutinized people on the planet, the decision to control the narrative completely, to minimize public exposure, to avoid any situation where tabloids or gossip media could define your child by their condition before they can define themselves, makes total sense. This is the same logic that has led several other major celebrity families to keep children out of public view. It is not always a conspiracy. Sometimes it is just parents trying to protect a kid from a world that is not always kind. But here is where things get interesting, because the Carter family's approach to Sir Carter's visibility is not just minimal, it is strategically minimal, and that distinction matters. Blue Ivy appears at public events. She has a professional presence. She has been photographed extensively over the years. Her identity as a Carter twin is fully public. Meanwhile, Sir Carter has been managed entirely differently. Different photographers, different contexts, different levels of access. That is not the same as both twins just being kept private. That is two children being handled with completely different levels of exposure. And the difference is deliberate. When families make that kind of distinction between siblings, especially twins, who would theoretically be in the same environments at the same time, it raises questions about what is driving the different treatment. The current wave of conversation about Sir Carter did not start with one viral post. It built over time across multiple platforms, Reddit threads, Twitter or X discussions, and long-form YouTube commentary, before the photos gave people a concrete visual anchor. What is notable about how this story spread is that it was not primarily driven by tabloid media. The mainstream celebrity press has largely stayed away from this, probably because publishing speculation about a minor's health is legally and ethically complicated. The conversation has been almost entirely organic, driven by people sharing observations, comparing photos, citing medical knowledge, and piecing together the Kanye statements. That bottom-up pattern of information spreading is actually one of the reasons people take it more seriously than a typical tabloid story. When nobody is making money off the story and it keeps growing anyway, the curiosity has to be coming from somewhere real. Now, this is something I want to be direct about because it matters. Sir Carter is a child. Whatever his health situation is or is not, he did not choose public life. He did not choose his parents. He does not choose what gets said about him online. The conversation around these photos can be conducted with curiosity and with care, or it can become something harmful, and that choice belongs to every person engaging with it. The reason this topic is worth discussing is not to expose a family secret or to score points against Beyoncé or Jay-Z. The reason it matters is because if a child has a condition that has been kept from the public, understanding how and why that happens inside the machinery of mega celebrity tells us something real about how fame, privacy, medicine, and media intersect. It also, frankly, validates something that many families living with rare conditions feel all the time: that there is still enough stigma around certain diagnoses that even the most powerful people on earth feel pressure to manage the visibility of that truth. The photos that are currently circulating are not going to be the last word on this. As Sir Carter gets older, as more candid moments become available, and as the conversation continues to build, the pressure on the Carter family to address this publicly, on their own terms, is going to grow. What will be interesting to watch is whether they choose to get ahead of it. Several celebrity families have navigated similar situations by being honest about their children's conditions in ways that actually became powerful and positive stories. The public response to visibility and honesty around disability and rare conditions has shifted significantly in the last decade. What might have felt like exposure 10 years ago could now feel like advocacy. And if Kanye West, for all the noise and chaos surrounding everything he says, was pointing at something real here, that is also a conversation worth having about how we process information from sources we have already decided to dismiss. The bottom line is this: a set of photos and a pattern of deliberate absence have opened a door that the internet is not closing anytime soon, and the question of what is actually behind that door involves a child's privacy, a family's choices, a controversial rapper's warnings, and a public that is increasingly unwilling to accept carefully managed silence as an answer. If this breakdown gave you a clearer picture of what is actually being discussed here and why it matters beyond the surface-level gossip, then you are going to want to watch my next video where I break down the full timeline of everything Kanye West has said about the Carter family and which specific claims have aged the best. If this was useful to you, hit like and subscribe because I cover these deep dives regularly, and you do not want to miss what comes next on this story.